Hey, what's up guys? My name is Boda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be our monthly ASIC pricing update video. This is going to be for November 2024. And in this series, what we do is we are looking for deals on those ASIC miners. So specifically, going to go through a bunch of them. We go through fluctuations is what we're looking for. So anything going up significantly, going down significantly, just so we can keep our eyes on those trends and specifically to look for those deals, right? We're trying to look for those pivot points, which this month is a big one, right? This is officially the pivot month we've kind of been anticipating, and it is here, and prices are drastically different even from just last month, right? So we're going to cover that, talk about it, talk about what's going on, and talk about what's happened since then, right? Because we're in a different world, right? So we'll talk about it, give our thoughts. So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So, completely different world from last month. You can look at the headline for last month's ASIC miner pricing update video. October 2024, last chance for cheap Scrypt Doge miners. Price increases potentially coming. And they came hard as hell. You can see what the price was here at that time. BTC was at 69. This was before we got the results of the election. So again, even just going back a month, we're in a completely different climate, right? Completely different. And even price-wise, right? So it's kind of insane with just seeing how much things have changed. And even just like specifically, we're going to focus a lot on those Scrypt ASICs because that's what's hot because of the price increases, right? You can see here the January price was still 6,600 just weeks ago. Okay, it's doubled since then, and in many cases, it seems like it's potentially going to sell out, and they're already starting to sell even batches farther in the year now. Okay, so it's a drastically different world, which is why we try to keep up with these things, so we can kind of get them kind of before they happen, right? All the signs were essentially kind of starting to get there. Doge was starting to increase quite a bit. At this point in this video, it was only at 16 cents. I mean, look at where it is now. It's like 3x since then. But again, the signs were starting to kind of creep up potentially. We knew that if the orange guy was going to win, that things would potentially go up significantly. And now we're here, right? Again, we were at 69 back then. Currently, BTC is at 96,000. We did damn near hit 100,000. We were at like 99.8 something. I think we did hit close to 100, even close to 100 on certain exchanges, but it is crazy. It's starting to cool off a bit. We knew that there was going to be a lot of pressure when we hit that 100K mark just because everybody's eyeing those big landmark numbers, right? So what it seems like's been happening is people have been taking profits and going more into alts. We can kind of see here on CMC's little dashboard here, they do have now this altcoin season index. And you can see here even BTC dominance, right? We're in between 60 to 61%. It's down to 56%, right? Which is kind of significant. You can see here it's slowly been going more into like a potential mini altcoin season, right? If you guys are heavy in altcoins, if that's a big chunk of your portfolio like mine is, you are probably extremely happy right now, right? That bag is almost scarily significant right now. Especially for it being this early in the market, right? It's crazy, okay? And you can even see here the entire market cap of crypto as a whole. Back on November 4th, we were at only 2.19 trillion. We're currently at 3.4 trillion in under a month. It's a 50% gain in the overall total market cap. Insane, bros. Insane. Over $1 trillion came in. And it's only escalating, right? It's just, if you're not bullish now, like, I don't know what it's going to take for you to get there, right? So crazy numbers. And again, this is only in a month. And that's why we're so hesitant. Like, people are like trying to look more than a few months ahead or doing pre-orders for things that are like 3-4 months out. So much can change by then that it's just hard to keep up with that point. Even just a month or two is, again, it can be a whole different climate. As far as profitability goes, when we look at the top, now it's all Scrypt ASICs, right? The AlphaPex DG Hydro 1 at 65 bucks a day, the L9 is 60, Volk Miner D1 57, the other L9 DG1 Plus, X44P kind of being a standout here with ETH hash, and the list goes on and on. Okay, so pretty crazy, pretty bananas. Scrypt is obviously the hotness, just because even the more budget models, we'll go over prices here in a second, but everything for the most part is definitely up, and is because of Doge's price action. Again, we go back, you can see the difference there. We're already hitting 15, 16 cents, and now we've been holding this range. So not only did we pump up here, we've been holding this range and slowly creeping up higher. Okay, that's what's kind of significant. Sometimes we see these pumps, then people take profits and such. It's pumping and it's holding, and it's only getting crazier, right? We'll see what happens though. I mean, it's pumped up like 170% in a month, which is just, again, it's bananas, bros. It's just crazy time, and we're seeing the reflection with the ASICs. So kind of the key takeaway here is just, this is what happens when these coins pump. Like, it can happen at any time. And when it does, what happens? The prices of the units themselves go up. Remember, those ASICs are also assets. In the bear market, this is the hard part we're going to have to like try to adjust here. We're going into this bull market and things are going to change. Okay, so things that weren't profitable before or weren't as profitable before, especially for those of you guys who focus on the wrong things and focus on that fiat profitability instead of yield, things are going to look drastically different. Okay, and to those people who focus on that, you're going to have a harder time because, again, the time to be getting these things, the time to be mining these things was when yield was good. Again, yield, yield, yield. That's been a key thing these past 2 years, and it's worked out already extensively well. Okay, so again, to each their own on everybody's strategies, but I am immensely happy with what we've done so far. Okay, and we're just going to continue that trend from here. But just because of that pump, everything's going up significantly. Again, so now the January batch is not even available anymore. It's sold out. It went up to 10K. The only thing that's available are what's in stock currently. And the 16 gigahash model is $14,000 right now. Okay, the 17 at 14.8, which is crazy, right? These things were $8,000 a few weeks ago. That's what it is, right? And it can happen just that quickly, guys. It can happen overnight, essentially. So when you see the risk reward is there, things look good. I mean, this one did. Nobody really expected to pump this hard, this fast, right? So it's one of those things. Anything can happen. In this case, it's with Elon, the whole Doge thing, the whole Department of Government Efficiency. But it can be another coin getting some kind of big partnership or some kind of brand deal, or there's just so many variables that can happen that can cause these effects. Okay, especially in the bull market where any little bit of news, things get crazy. And like right now, again, it's pretty much all alts. Even those more obscure alts, and you guys GPU mining, Zealous, Ergo, Iron, Nexa, like everything is going up pretty significantly, right? So again, the altcoin season theory, it's in full effect, right? It's been crazy, bros. But let's continue down. So again, the L9's pretty crazy. Crypto miner bros, their prices for the November batch, which is the now, it's $14,999. They do have a coupon for $180 off. So it's pretty damn close to Nhash's price, right? So it's not too far off from there. December batch is 14.1. Realistically, I mean, you might as well get the earlier batch at that point. There's no sense in that. What's interesting here, though, when we highlighted it, is they have a freaking April batch, right? Batches going all the way up to there, which there had been rumors, or not rumors, some of you guys have ordered from other vendors, and some of you guys ordered January batches prior to the run-up, and apparently getting pushed all the way till April, which is kind of weird, because again, there still are vendors listing January batches. Not all of them, though. We saw Nhash was also sold out there, so again, some of the bullshit with some of these resellers may be happening, okay? So just be aware. Again, any of these hype things, any pre-orders, be wary, right? Let's go down. So the DG Home 1 actually hasn't gone up a ton in comparison to how much the others have gone up. Part of the reason is that you were already kind of paying a premium for the home aspect, okay? Because in reality, if you scale it to like 6 of these, or in reality it'd be like 7 of these for the DG Home 1, 7, about $2 grand, it'd be like 14 grand for a 14 gigahash DG 1 Plus. So in reality, at this price point, it's kind of scaling in somewhat well, right? Still a premium, but it's not as significant. So not too bad, right? But it's higher. So Miner Bros, their price is $23.79. They do have a January batch, which is a little bit cheaper. Again, if it's this small of a difference, go with the earlier batch, right? Just in case there are delays, there's any kind of other crap going on, you always want to stay ahead of the game there, because just keep in mind the amount of revenue you would generate in that month, right? So that was a big thing with even like the January batches and such. Even though it was cheaper, you're better off getting that November batch just because of the amount of revenue you would generate between now and then, right? So that's something you have to factor in, not just the price, okay? The DG1 Plus is now at $12,500, which is pretty crazy. Comparison wise, the 14 gigahash in stock, $11,899. Oh man, so it's actually cheaper on Miner Bros, so definitely a premium here. Again, go with the better price. Like, I definitely have an affiliate with Nhash, but we are looking for price deals. And this is kind of telling because Miner Bros is typically on the higher end, right? So again, these things are kind of also in like price discovery. They're going to price them as high as they can to kind of get what they can, right? Go back a month, 2 months ago, different market, right? Now it's like they're going to try to push the envelope as high as they can. They can't get crazy either, which, well, I mean, technically with the L9, they are getting pretty crazy, but it's, the people, we still have to buy them at those prices. If it's too high where we're not paying for them, then they're going to have to kind of meet that demand, right? So it's pros and cons here, but again, when things are hot, when they're elevated, just expect the prices to be all over the place, because everybody's going to try to get every penny they can, especially to try to make up for this somewhat rough bear market, right? The only kind of sale currently is BT Miners. They did do a Black Friday sale. I believe it goes until Monday. So as far as the L9s, they only have a January batch. So if you were to get a January batch and a DG Home 1, you could value the DG Home 1 at $2,000. It's like you're getting this guy at $11,398. Okay, is that great of a deal? Not really, but at this point, like the DG1 Plus is probably a better deal, because again, if you value this guy at $2,000, you're getting it for $10,500 versus the other prices over here. So there is somewhat of a savings there. So not too bad overall. And the fact that this guy's in stock. So this is kind of a big deal, the fact that you'd be able to get it now and not have to deal with as much BS happening. I would probably go for the 14.4 though. But something to consider. Again, it's overpriced though, or this one's actually sold out, so you'd have to get the 14 gigahash model. But it's just hard to recommend or say that this is a good deal, just because again, a few weeks ago, that's when you should have bought it. Okay, focusing on the yield, because at the end of the day, if you were looking at the Scrypt ASICs, this isn't even the high point, right? Realistically, a lot of us were expecting anywhere from 60 to 80 cents at some point. It just happened earlier than later, right? So that's how you have to think about these ASICs, is what is your price target? How high do you think it's going to go? Where do you think it's going to go? And how confident you're going to hit that. Like, I think most people who were looking into Scrypt were going to be fairly confident we would definitely at least hit here, potentially 60 cents, potentially 80 cents, maybe even beyond with now Trump being in office. Okay, so again, a few weeks ago was the time to get it. Okay, not now when it's double the price. Could potentially still make out though. That doesn't mean like, oh, you're overpaying, it's not going to be worth it. You could potentially still make it, but it gets harder, guys. Like, the harder you wait until the pump happens, until things look good, until the profitability looks good, it gets riskier and riskier, right? It gets riskier and it just gets harder. These past 2 years was a lot easier, a lot less risk, a lot less capital. Now it's just more difficult, right? So there is still money to be made, it's just going to be more difficult, okay? Another newcomer is this Flu Miner thing. Nobody's had one in hand yet. I think RPM and I think even Hobbyist mentioned that they are going to be getting one. So that'll give us some insight into this guy. Which it already has gone up a good amount, right? This thing was listed at 35, although BT Miners was only 3,500 for like, I don't even think it made it a day. And then they put it at a placeholder of like 99.99, and then this is what it got adjusted to. Okay, so there's not too many vendors selling this thing still. This is one of the few that has them. This is now for a January batch. This is not a December batch anymore. As far as quality, again, we have no idea. We're gonna have to wait to see till one of these guys gets it in hand. Maybe if they crack it open, we can get some insight as to what the board looks like, who's making the chips, is it, who knows. We know efficiency-wise, it's very similar to these other higher-end ASICs, and that's what makes it very appealing, right? So price-wise, you have to see it be worth it. It's kind of like, again, at 5.3, three of these would be about 16 gigahash. So you're valuing it at like a $15,000 L9 price, right? You're getting a fractionalized version of it. It's essentially a third of it, right? So we'll see. It's kind of a riskier bet. At 3,500, 3,000, it could make sense though, right? At this price point, there's a lot of risk with these no-name manufacturers, right? It just kind of depends. Again, if it was a year ago, maybe, but at this point, it's like this is the year to maximize your money. If you're doing a pre-order on this thing and it comes up being a dud, it's like you kind of wasted a lot of opportunity. The opportunity cost is immense here, right? So that's why for me, anything I would be getting, ideally it'd be things that are available now. Like the thought of waiting until January, April, March or April, that far down the road, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow, right? Especially if your current exit plan is to start profit taking in that time, it's kind of hard to start jumping in at that point, right? So very dependent on your strategy, very dependent on what you're getting yourself into, right? So these are all things you gotta consider. Again, I like to plan ahead. I try to stay like a year ahead of everything and try to, especially this year, again, all the planning has been for this coming year, right? So gotta factor these things in, okay? So again, going with the theming is that there are still opportunities, but you want to get those opportunities that might not look so good now, but that have potential farther down this year. Okay, so the pump has already happened with this guy. Again, for me, it's still viable, still definitely going to be following those prices. Scrypt ASICs are appealing because of the longevity, but at this point, you have to consider, you have to look for what's going to be next. Right, so like the Lithium ASICs, the AL3 just had this huge price reduction. It's at $3,800, which still has potential as far as profitability goes. I think it's in the 30s. So the AL1, which is fairly close, is about $30 a day. Lithium has been having a nice little run. It's currently at about $1.73. Again, we bought a nice little bag when it was at around $1.12 here a few weeks ago. So it's already had a nice little gain since then. Hasn't pumped crazy. It's been kind of a steadier run, so prices have remained flat still, but just be advised that if this thing does run, like how a lot of the alts are running and how this thing is currently running, because as we go back, it's been a while since we've been back here, right? It's been like September was the last time we were in this range. So it is trending upwards. If it does continue up, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to change, right? So I'm not saying it's a good deal, not saying it's a good buy, but if it is one you're looking into, these are the types of factors you want to look at, right? So between this or the smaller unit, the little AL2 Lite, things to look at. The biggest hesitation for me, though, would be just to see how Bitmain's going to respond, right? Bitmain has yet to respond with their unit. It is still $10,500, which again doesn't make sense because almost the same specs and this guy is damn near a third of the price. So we do fully expect for Bitmain to do something. The advantage here is if they were to price match or potentially even go lower than the AL3, because even if they just match it, realistically, then the AL3 still needs to get reduced. This is arguably still the more superior unit. If the prices are relatively close to being the same, I'm personally going to pick the Bitmain all day. Okay, so factor that in. Kind of consider that there is a possibility that they do respond and they do go more aggressive than the AL3, or potentially they match it and it's in stock now, right? Versus having to wait until basically January, right? It's the December batch, December 15th to 30th, which means what? Probably not going to get until January, mid-January. Versus if they do cut the price on this guy and it's spot, you're able to get this thing now. Okay, so that would be my main hesitation. I would expect, if they're going to respond at all, maybe they're just going to cross their fingers and hope for a Lithium to pump. But my guess is that they would retaliate in some form or fashion, right? So that would be my biggest hesitation there. Let's continue down, and again, going with the theming of everything going up, even the S19K Pros, which that limited sale, again, if you guys remember, Bitmain did do that reduction on their site down to 600 bucks. They were selling them from resellers in like the $800 range, and now $12.79, and even with the MOQ of 3 still. Okay, 1,500 bucks for the 120 terahash unit. Have seen vendors also list brand new S19J104s. So they're like, I don't know if it's old stock that they're bringing back or if they are actually manufacturing new ones. But they are coming back from the dead. Same with like the L7s and such. There are new batches of L7s coming out. So again, I don't know if they're coming from an old container or if they really just did fab them up again, right? But just prices in general are all going upwards, right? And it's across the board. Jazz Miner X16Q, it's up to $18.99 now. Again, it's just ever going up. Miner Bros' price is $2,300. They do have that coupon, but still the price is definitely the best here. One thing that is going to change here, most likely, and it's going to shake things up, is if you guys remember that new iPolo. So it does seem like this is probably going to be about the ship date. Shout out to T-Swift. He did poke around a bit, and it does sound like it's potentially like late February, March, April, somewhere in that time frame, right? And even right now, they don't sound too confident about that. So chances are it is going to be around this region, which does kind of suck because, again, it's hard to wait that long of a period. Efficiency and stuff is good. If the price is in this region by then, we'll see where prices of these coins are at by then, and it still is extremely appealing. But again, it's very difficult to be waiting that long for anything, regardless of what it is. Okay. We did get a little bit of information also on these guys. iPolo did put it on their website officially, so it does confirm that both of these, the V2X and even like the V2H, are limited by that RAM. So it's 6 gigs, but 5.8 gigs of available memory. So something to factor in there. And then also confirmation actually of the big boy. So there is going to be a V2 and it is going to be a larger unit. I wish they would have done more though. It's currently going to be at 10,000 mega hash and 900 watts. Again, for this form factor and for this price that it's going to be, they should have probably done more, right? Because realistically for this form factor, something that's only 900 watts probably doesn't need to be in this form factor, right? Maybe it's just a mock-up, maybe it's just an initial picture. But again, for that price point, wish they would have done more, right? But again, it does give us confirmation of that. And then even on the bigger units, it is still limited with the RAM there, which is kind of a weird decision to go that route, especially for something that expensive. But that's what they chose. So this can have ramifications on the pricing. Again, just the downfalls that it's so far out that it may not, right? So something you got to consider there, okay? And another kind of surprise, actually, the KS5 Pros did go up. They went up to 3,200. So it definitely is making like the iceriver units a little bit more appealing. Realistically, I would still probably go this route. Just because, again, you would need 2 of the KS5Ls. 2 of them are going to get you more than that. But again, it's just that efficiency difference. Right now, with the profitability not being the greatest, efficiency is kind of a big deal. And especially as those emissions reductions continue, the efficiency is definitely going to be a factor. So for the price, if you're going to consider getting 2 of these for 2,600 bucks, I would get one of these at 3,200 all day and have half the wattage, right? So kind of surprising they did go up. The 20 terahash units that did seem like they had issues sourcing those, they are marked as sold out. And I have heard of people having to upgrade to the 21 terahash unit, so keep that in mind. These things, if you haven't gotten shipping info yet, it does seem like they are shipping now or in the coming days from all vendors, right? Regardless of where you order from. Same with the L9s. If you haven't gotten shipping info yet, you should be getting it soon. All of them across the board are starting to ship. Okay. So those were the main deviations. Again, the most aggressive one is all of the Scrypt ASICs, not just certain ones. All of them went up significantly. Even the older ones that nobody wanted, they went up significantly because, again, we are getting to that point where we need to pivot. So the prices are pivoting, but the mentality needs to pivot. And this is a different phase here, right? Where priorities are also going to be different. And this is why you have to key in on that strategy, because when you go on these profit calculators, you're going to get caught up with the fiat profitability versus the yield and even versus the efficiency, right? Because we are now at the point where we're at the greed phase. Efficiency isn't the most important thing here. You can potentially still make out pretty well even with a fairly inefficient unit in comparison to the competition. It's more of a game of hash rate at this point. But again, it's dependent on your strategy, what you're trying to do. Is it something that you're trying to hold beyond this bull market, or is it something that you just want all the hash and then somewhere in the next 6 months or so you're just going to dump it, right? So it's very, very dependent on strategy. That's why I highly recommend that you kind of make up your mind. You should have already made up your mind. In my opinion, for the most part, with any of these expensive ASICs, you should have already done that buying for anything that was available that you were interested in, right? Like the name of the game for me, it's going to be the smaller units, more little at-home guys, things that I have confidence in will potentially last me beyond this bull market, right? Things that I feel confident will potentially make their return on investment and I'll be able to mine on it beyond this bull market, right? Because at that point, we're trying to stay ahead of the game, okay? But guys, it's happening. We are at that pivot point. Let me know, what do you guys think? Did you guys get it? I know a lot of you guys front ran that damn Doge pump and you guys were smart. You guys ordered your Scrypt ASICs prior to that pump. And you guys, a lot of them are getting them in hand now, which is amazing. So happy for you guys. Plug in, make that money, bros. Make it, make it, make it. But again, please let me know in the comments, guys, what do you guys think? Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I am out.